My name is Kristin Morris. I'm an archivist at the Computer History Museum. Today I'm interviewing Alan Ren for the VMware Founders Collection. This interview will become part of the permanent collection at the Computer History Museum, and today is September 25th, 2023. Alan, thank you so much for taking the time to do this with us today.
Thank you, Chris.
First, can you just tell us your current title with VMware and your location?
Sure. My name is Alan Ren. I'm the Senior Director for the VMware AI Labs, running engineering and ecosystems, and I'm based in the Bay Area.
And can you tell me, please, a little bit about your background and education leading up to your role at getting the job at VMware?
Sure. I have a bachelor and a master in the electrical engineering and computer science from Cooper Union in New York City and University of Michigan at Ann Arbor. I also have a EMBA from Rutgers University. And I've been at various technical and management positions at Bellcore, which is a telecom R&D firm, as well as IBM and Sun Microsystems, both in the US and in Greater China. I also did a tech startup in the middle of the career in the Greater China area.
Mm-hmm. What got you interested in computers? If you could think back to your young days, what got you excited about computers?
I think it's the information technology as a revolution, similar to what AI is today with the ChatGPT and the large language model. And it was code on one side and the data on the other side. Is this virtual world of power or empowerment for the nerds, if you will, to change the world with software and hardware.
Yeah. So you were at Sun, and then you went and founded your own company.
Yes.
What was the experience, that entrepreneurial experience, like for you?
It is quite different from a pure technical experience. Obviously, as an entrepreneur, we all know the famous product market fit, right? PMT. So it's on one side, sales marketing. On the other side is product and solutions. So it's a lot of multitasking, a lot of building things from scratch, from people, process, technology, as well as sales pipeline, revenue, backlog, AR, cash call. So the whole 9 yards of everything.
Was there a particular technological solution that you were trying to develop at your company? What was your focus?
Yeah, at that time it was more the open source middleware solution. If you recall, there was the LAMP stack, Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. And there's a lot of enterprise application integration problems, what used to be called EAI, that we thought with the advance in open source, maybe bringing a better agility as well as a price performance to enterprise customers.
How did you come to work at VMware?
So I am at VMware for now probably almost 12 years. And at that time, it was actually the beginning of cloud computing. After Salesforce, started with a software as a service, and AWS launched cloud services at the lower level, right? Infra as a service level, and this middle layer is my background is more in the middleware, is called a platform as a service. So there are a few interesting projects at that time, and one is named Cloud Foundry. In fact, invented by a few engineers at VMware, and I got a chance to um, join VMware Shanghai R&D. Actually, that was one of the key projects that attracted me to VMware to participate in the platform as a service layer of cloud computing 12 years
Mhm.
ago.
What was your team's goal or mandate at that time when you came on board? VMware is saying to your team, fix this or make this work. What was it?
Yeah, so it was more about innovation, like
Ah.
invent or create this. And I mentioned Cloud Foundry as a new category player or leader in the platform as service. At that
Mhm.
time, there was also OpenShift in another company, as well as a little company uh, at that time called a Dot Cloud, which later on spun off the famous container project Docker, as well
Oh.
as the revolution of cloud native and Kubernetes. So I think it's in a sense a continuation of my career as a platform
Mm.
engineer, architect, and a tech leader to see how we can have uh, creative and innovative technology to serve the application and the
Mm.
developers better, and
Mhm.
utilizing the infrastructure underneath better. So it kind of fits
Mhm.
nicely in between the SaaS layer on top
Mhm.
as well as the ICE layer beneath.
Mhm. How does VMware foster or create an environment for that kind of innovation? Can you point to particular things the company does to help the engineering teams be successful?
Sure. So the first thing come to mind is something called Radio, which actually stands for R&D Innovation Offsite, and it's an annual event, typically thousands of engineers gathering uh, historically in San Francisco in a hotel to showcase prototypes, papers, and posters, kind of like in a academic and intellectual kind of
Mhm.
intensity,
Mhm.
but also in a marketplace of not trade shows, but
Right.
innovation shows, so
Mhm.
that people can share and learn, and then the inventors can also present. So, and in addition to that, of course, there's hackathons and other open source, inner source type of program office to support day-to-day type of innovation ideas,
Mhm.
both within the business unit for each product team, while they're delivering the main releases and products. And
Mhm.
we also have centralized organizations in the office of CTO, and in my previous organization is named Research and Innovation within the central office of CTO, a task specifically for uh, the full life cycle of innovation and research activities.
Mhm. Um, I think you've said a little bit about the culture of VMware in terms of innovation. Could you say anything in particular about the culture of VMware in China?
Sure.
What is it like to work at VMware in China?
Right. I forgot to mention that I have a secondary role actually is as a general manager of VMware China R&D, and
Mhm.
I continue to play that role. So I'll speak about VMware as a company, and obviously probably many people also mentioned the Epic 2, right? The execution, passion, integrity, and customer and communities. Um, the one value that's specific for innovation is the passion to challenge status quo. Right? This
Mhm.
kind of the passion to break things, fail fast, innovate, and create. I think that is probably the engineering culture that started with the founders, from Berkeley and from Stanford, from academic and intellectual uh, environments, um, not to be afraid to take risk, to challenge authorities, if you will, whether it's a management, whether it's a common sense, quote unquote common sense
Mhm.
in the existing user behaviors as well as engineering best practices. And I think it is that courage, um, and then the perseverance in the passion that is pervasive in VMware. And I think VMware China R&D is uh, one of the three global sites, in addition to Bulgaria and India, is I think is more common in those uh, values and the characteristics.
The perseverance, you mean, that
Yes, the
runs strong.
perseverance and the risk
Hmm.
taking. Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
Hmm. Um, so you started in the role that was specific to Shanghai, and then you moved into sort of the general manager
Right,
uh,
for
role.
both Shanghai and Beijing.
Hmm.
But I've always carried specific responsibilities on the innovation side
I see.
within the OCTO, Office of CTO.
Hmm.
And since I relocated back to the Bay Area last year, uh, my role has been expanded into global engineering and ecosystem. So in addition to the China team, I also have the teams in the US, in Bulgaria, as well as in India.
So you mentioned, oh, one question I wanted to ask you about is the VMware Innovation Network.
Hmm.
Tell me about that program.
Well, okay, you've done some research, um,
Yes.
and that is more commonly known in China because we actually started the ecosystem there about, I would say, the roots of that actually uh, goes all the way back to when I started the Cloud Foundry R&D, which is one third in Shanghai and two third in Bay Area. And at the time, we built a evangelism and architect team to promote the adoption of open source technology in the Chinese open source community. And we all know that in open source, the users and the contributors in the community go hand in hand with the core engineering team in one or a few particular companies.
Mhm.
So the VMware Innovation Network had that original roots and is built on two open innovation foundations. One is open source, the other one is open cloud services because of the emergence of cloud together with the open source software engineering and also market and community
Mhm.
strategy. So we've developed more of a grassroots approach to plus close to 100 startups and tens of thousands of individual developers, as well as many enterprise users. So together to drive open source software technology, primarily in the infra as a service uh, and the platform as a service layers
Mhm.
in the VMware open source ecosystem. and then actually helping some of the startups to go overseas in terms of market development, and also the open source project itself maybe originated some in China, but we quickly become global. Yeah. So and then we've also started a few successful open source projects uh, in the middle of this. So that also helps to promote the innovation network itself.
Hmm. Would you say that there is a special importance, or I guess I'm trying to ask you if open source is more important in China than in other places?
The quick answer is no. I think it's open source is universal. Just when you heard Mark Andreessen say software is eating the world and open source is eating the software, right? It is universal. It's not specific to a country or culture. And I forgot to mention that in the middle, after Cloud Foundry and also Hadoop, big data, we actually landed in the space of container and cloud native open source. That's why I mentioned little startup.cow that no one
Mm-hmm.
remember now, but of course everybody remembers Docker. And then that's where Project Harbor came about. That is probably the single most important project that myself and the team did is for a Docker or container registry project. Started in China uh, about I would say 9 years ago, 2014, and then open source in 2016, donated to CNCF, the Cloud Native Computing Foundation, and is the first open source project from VMware as a company, as well as from the China open source community. And now it is probably got hundreds of contributors and dozens of countries contributing, and thousands of enterprise using it, and it is also present in every one of VMware's own cloud native and container products.
Hmm. Um, Tell me the years again. Tell me when it launched. 2014?
So 2014, so that's like
2014.
now 9 years ago. So people
Yeah,
say it's a
it's
Chinese saying
ancient.
saying it takes 10 years to make a sword, like right,
Right.
to make a good sword. So we're not yet 10 years, but yeah, and I would
Right.
say similarly, the other innovations that are homegrown and organic at VMware, you know, people look at the glory of the day, the market share or the adoption, but the seed when it was planted, is
Mm-hmm.
a lot of blood and or not blood, but a lot of sweat, maybe blood, the sweat and
Maybe
blood.
blood.
Yeah, right. People get excited about it. Yeah. Um, and they also go through some growing pains, right? And sometimes the
Mhm.
project many may not survive, right, to
Mm,
see the light of the day.
mhm,
In fact, we initially went proposed idea to the BUs, the fully funded, established product teams, and it we were told that it was not ready in terms of the
mhm,
idea, and then we try to also the team try to launch as a Fling, which is not open
mm,
source, but like a runtime binary that is free. And even that idea got shut down uh, or nicely, reasonably declined. So somehow we found a way to launch it as
mm,
a in China, you know, for China kind of open source
mhm,
innovation. But I think the passion for the engineers, you asked me about the boundaries of open source, and of course it's
mhm,
really universal. And once the project was launched, it is for China or for sure, but also
mhm,
for the world. So
mm,
because there are no boundaries on the internet, and the users come, the contributors come, right? They make it into multilingual. They use it in all kinds of different situations in different countries, different industries. So I think that's some of it is you could say accidental, and some of it you could say destiny. But I think somehow we got lucky. Yeah.
It must be so amazing to see this child of yours go out and flourish in the world.
Yes, and none of us expected it to have grown to be at this scale, and but we have tried quite a few other things that didn't pan out either. So yeah.
Um, I wonder if there's anything. Well, let's talk about AI a little bit and what you've been working on with that. How far back does your effort in that area stretch? Everybody thinks it's brand new, but of course we know it's
Yeah, it's
50 years
interesting
old, right?
you
So,
ask. I need to trace back to see we have our entire research and innovation organization now is renamed AI Labs. So it's VMware AI Labs. It's great to deliver epic 2 values for Vail, right? No pun intended there. But I actually in China R&D we've created many virtual labs, and I think the AI Labs was probably created 6-7 years ago. This is the China R&D virtual lab, meaning no dedicated uh, engineers, just because of the hope we see as engineers as a passion for AI. We did start it with NLP because VMware is probably not so well uh, I guess situated for image and video, but we do have a lot of source code, a lot of logs in the data center, and yeah, the whole 9 year of ChatGPT, how it evolved, or the small language model, so to speak, before the large language model. We've tried that, and then in the same time, we actually have two different innovation projects. One is called Yellowstone, which tries to use multiple hardware accelerators in addition to uh, NVIDIA GPU to accelerate AI ML workload. And the other one is called FATE, no pun intended there, which stands for a Federated AI Technology Enabler. In fact, it was originated by a Chinese bank named WeBank and donated to Linux Foundation. So we joined force to help them to make it more cloud native. So we started the Cube Fate project within Fate, and then we also then started Fed LCM, which means federated machine learning for the language life cycle management, right? So in short, the federated machine learning is helping with the local data encryption, and then also sharing the machine learning model only. So basically, you get more, almost the same business intelligence while protecting data for each computing party. So, and it's suitable for either multiple party computing (MPC) or even a single party computing. If that single party is a multinational company or a public entity that has jurisdictions across multiple sovereign countries or clouds that are required or regulated to not to share data, but only collaborate with the machine learning models. So we find in the future more and more cases will require that, because as AI and large language model get more pervasive, data privacy, confidential computing will become more and more, I guess, critical from a legal perspective and from, I guess, a compliance perspective.
and that cross boundary issue is a huge challenge,
Hmm.
right? The cross jurisdiction issue,
Yes,
because the data, the technology can be and go anywhere, but the physical borders
yes,
are
totally.
challenging.
And the physical border, if you're referring to the borders of a sovereign country, yes, that's just one kind of physical border, and there are
Right,
many kind of logical or legal borders set up or regulated by various industries.
right.
And sometimes even within one company, you have subsidiaries or business units, and you need to set up some kind of guardrails um, for data protection, whether it's in consumer interests or business interests, while continuing to maximize business intelligence, right? So that's where these events federated and also distributed machine learning technology come into play.
Um, so you mentioned that you have come back stateside and kind of taken this newish role, I guess, in the office of the CTO. So what is your charge in that role?
Yeah, so it's an expanded role. Before I was running China R&D and specialized for research and innovation just for China. So it's got multiple iterations. We started with global development in China. That's typically where R&D is set up in these global or remote sites. And then the first generation, we developed something called, in addition to in China, global development, right, for the world, we are doing something in country for country, right? So it could be in China for China or in China for APJ. And then
Mm,
we also evolved that into really global and distributed teams, right? And some is for particular country or geography, and some is for global. So with my expanded role is engineering ecosystem global. We have multiple teams, right? US and the three global sites, Bulgaria, China, and India. And sometimes each team has responsibility and engineering or product ownership of a particular subsystem or subproject, and also collaborate on the overall design and architecture of a global product. Yeah.
mhm. This may not be a fair question, but do you personally prefer being in the lab or thinking about these technological issues and trying to solve them? Or do you prefer the kind of role you have now where you're really leading and enabling teams who are maybe more head down on the work? Does that make sense?
So it depends on your definition of lab. So I run the engineering and ecosystem global team within the AI labs.
Yeah.
So I guess there's the classic notion of lab. Maybe it's more of an academic or research notion of heads down, inventing something in the ivory tower. In the next generation or the new generation of innovation, we're looking at what I usually call, because of the open source DNA, is a project user fit
Mm,
before the product and market fit. And when you invent a project for a user, the user that is not in the lab, right? So
right.
particularly with open source, is a lot of co-innovation going on. And with the open source, the beauty is you kind of get the real-time feedback from the user, and then you also share the real-time uh, roadmap with the users as well as the contributors, right?
Mhm.
So there's less of a boundary of a legal entity within a company, and also less a boundary of shipping things by quarter or by
Right.
release. And so I think that together with cloud first and multi-cloud. We're putting things is not just open source stuff for developers to download and compile and run on their own machines. It's actually setting up something free, running as like a dev test sandbox in the cloud for developers to play with and write their own code and connect via API calls as well as end user UI interactions. So there's a lot of things. I think I would say the spirit there is co-innovation. So the VMware Innovation Network, the current generation has evolved into something called the ACE, is ACE Co-Innovation Ecosystem, right? So, and it's a name invented by myself. It's a recursive naming, right?
Yep.
But initially, ACE, from a technology standpoint, stands for AI, cognitive, and edge computing. By the way, that was like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, before uh, Gen AI and took the mainstream in the consumer world. So, um, yeah.
I deeply appreciate your answer. I think you've given me a very just a very beautiful summary of this co-innovation, this collaboration that goes on. That it's everything you've done has been very collaborative.
Yep.
You know, processes, whether no matter the scale, right, of the end result. Um, are there particular people at VMware that you feel have really had a impact on your career and your trajectory at VMware?
Yes, I would say if I can give two. First one is actually our previous CEO, Pat Gelsinger. Although I don't interact with him as frequent as I would like, as a China site leader, I do get to see him when he's in China and when I visited the headquarters. And I think, given his technical and also management expertise, is a very rare combination of combining vision and strategy in execution. This is led by product innovation. And I also personally benefit from him on the some moral and the spiritual mentoring, given his a Christian background. So I think that is, if I have to name one at the executive level. And then the second one is my current boss, manager, Chris Wolf. He used to be the chief research and innovation officer, and now he's the head of VMware AI Labs for a reason. And I think he's the kind of a visionary who is very expert in both of flag planting as well as a role building. So it's a lot of, I would say, guidance and support for me to also um, do both, eggplant, flag planting as well as role building. Because if you're only good at one but not the other, you might be a great executor, or you might be a great strategist. But it's a rare combination of both. I think that has led our organization to the current stage. In fact, the first organization Chris guided me to build is called ATG, Advanced Technology Group, within the Office of CTO. And then he took on the near term, right, advanced technology, uh, and also the midterm incubation, as well as the long range research group together into the 2.0, if you will, which used to be called R&I, research and innovation. And now with the AI ML front and center, and we're going all in the Gen AI and ML and the large language model for multi-cloud. We have VMware AI Labs with him leading the organization. I think I feel honored and fortunate to have his guidance and mentoring.
Mhm. Lovely. My last question, which maybe you've already answered a bit, is I do always ask people what you think is the lasting impact of VMware's technology. You pointed to Project Harbor as something that has a huge lasting impact. Um, are there any other sort of macro um, reflections you want to make on what VMware has contributed to the?
Sure, I pointed to Harbor as well as Fei is
Yeah.
for my career at VMware, compared to other, much more impactful projects that other people have done at VMware. Really, the classic one is the virtualization of the compute, right?
Mhm.
ESXi and vSphere stack, and then the virtualization of a network with the NSX product, and as well as storage. Virtualization of storage is called vSAN. And by the way, which one of these projects, the homegrown ones, right, vSphere and vSAN, take years, if I remember correctly, probably 10 plus minus years to develop into the current market position, right, from the
Mhm.
original ideas. So that's where our current CEO, Raghu, invented the term software-defined data center.
Mhm.
That really includes the software-defined compute, network storage, and the cloud management stack. And then you can see the later development of the hyperscaler, the cloud services, is all based on similar principles of software-defined data center. Of course, we're moving forward to the
Mhm.
cloud native and modern apps world, and the Gen AI and ML world is just the second, third waves of innovation, and VMware, is also moving up the stacks to continue to deliver, uh, reinvent itself and deliver value
Mhm.
to our customers and partners. And I'm very proud and honored to be part of a team that is delivering those impactful projects for VMware.
Is there anything you'd like to add? Anything we haven't talked about that you would like to mention?
Um, I think really the keyword for as I mentioned, is for VMware is the infrastructure, the innovation at the infrastructure level, going into the platform level, uh, and it's really an exciting time to be part of the company and driving some of the innovation forces forward. So, and thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you so much.